Hello! I just need to check the audio first to make sure it's fine. Whoops. Oh, whoops, I forgot to have the browser open. Okay. Oh, whoops, I forgot to have the browser.
Hello everyone, welcome to
open.
The drill portion of the 100 class.
Oh, whoops, I forgot to have the browser.
Hello everyone, welcome to
open.
The drill portion of the 100 class.
Yes, the audio is fine. Good. I had a problem yesterday with the audio. I fixed it very early in the stream, but, you know, I'm still, like, anxious about it because I can't really check the audio very well because I'm streaming. Okay, let me... Is my mic loud enough, too? I hope so. Because sometimes I, like, lean back and suddenly I'm, like, not as, my voice isn't as loud as it should be. Okay, I'm getting distracted by my phone. Okay. Then all we need is Notepad++. Today is National Burrito Day, so I got some nachos from Qdoba. Because it was buy one, get one free. You also had to order a beverage, so I have a lemonade that I'm still drinking. Okay, now let's get into this drill. This is class number 25.
We're going to start off with some briefs from the 100 sheet. Okay, here we go. Restaurant is written S-T-R-A-U-N-T, straunt. Right hand, initial R, final N-D. Right hand side, initial R, final N-D-Z. Roadway is Roy, R.
Okay, there is right hand, and then there is right hand with a hyphen in the middle. Rind. It's rind. And then it is Royth. Okay.
R-O-I. And then if you get the proper name, Roy, you would flag that. Southbound is S-B. I write it as S-B.
Hello, Flash
My
viewer.
sheet says S-O-U-B, but...
Southbound. S-O-U-B-D.
I like to just keep all the different directions with the bounds the same way. Southbound SB, northbound NB, eastbound EB, westbound WB. So that's up to you. Southerly, I write it as SRL, S final RL. The book has it as SORL. It's up to you. Either one works. And Southern, I write that as S final RN.
Wait, northbound. I keep misspelling it. There's a B. Yes, okay. How are you doing? Glad to see you here again. Eastbound. And what's next? It would be southbound. No, westbound. It did south. So northbound, eastbound, southbound, and westbound. Okay. Don't really have it nailed yet, but hopefully I will.
And the book has it as SORN, so that's up to you. Okay, so here's your drill. Restaurant, right hand side, So that's up to you.
Okay, drill.
Okay, so here's your drill. Restaurant, right hand side.
Right hand side. PBDZ.
Roadway,
Roadway.
Roy, southbound, southerly, southern, roadway, restaurant, southern, right hand, southbound, right hand side, Roy, southerly, restaurant, roadway, southern, right hand side, southbound, southerly, southern.
Okay, I had trouble with that.
Okay, moving right into some basic briefs that you learned in theory. Okay, here we go.
Basic brief.
Why, but, yes, much,
I forgot to go live on
after,
YouTube.
shall.
Okay, at least it's just 2 minutes in. I just realized. Whoops. Okay. Okay, now I'm live on YouTube. Sorry, YouTube. Sometimes that happens. Because I have to start the YouTube stream when I'm finally live, and sometimes I just forget to do it because it's one other step that I have to take. Yeah. Oh, sorry for that noise.
Should, going, tonight, usual, order, should, purchase, suggest, finish, receipt, business, necessary, after, correspond, usual, advice, until.
Okay, I need to restart this drill anyway.
Okay, moving right into some basic briefs that you learned in theory. Okay, here we go. Why, but, yes, much, after, shall, should, going, tonight, usual, order, should, purchase, suggest, finish, receipt, business, necessary, after, correspond, usual, advice, until, advise, receipt, acknowledge, gentleman, suggestion, knowledge, gentlemen. Okay. I'm going to give you some common phrases that people often say, and some of these you can phrase. Again, the way I write recall, anything with a phrase with recall, I do final RL, and recollect is final RK. Okay, here we go. I would say, marked for identification, that's MOID, moid. If he believed, if he believes, if he can.
Identification. Where is my lookup? Behind everything. Identification. I always forget.
Marked for identification, that's MOID, moid. If he believed, if he believes, if he can.
That is tough to write. Identification. Marked for identification, though, is moist.
Identification, that's MOID, moid. If he believed, if he believes, if he can, if he could, if he feels, if he felt, if he recalls, if he recollects, if he remembers, if he should, if he wanted. So at least you can phrase if he wants, if he was, if I believed, if I believe, if I can, if I could, if I feel, if I felt, if I recall, if I recollect, if I want, if I wanted. So the phrase if he was, you can phrase that whole thing. Initial F, E, final FS. Okay. Moving into consonant compounds.
Consonant compounds.
This is going to emphasize initial SK, initial SL.
Oh wait, I just realized I didn't fix the game. Oh, whoops. The game capture on the vertical layout. It's been messed up the whole time. Let me fix that. Hopefully everything is okay to see now that I fixed that. For the Trans Lifeline raid train that I participated in 3 times last week, I was using a different scene collection, so I just completely forgot that the capture, the media source capture on OBS was too big the first time. I tried to use it. Let me move everything down. Pronouns. They're fine. Okay, everything's fine now. Marks for identification.
Final R, NL, and final FMT. Ready? He skimmed the floor while skating. The skirt was in the designer's sketch. We skipped skillfully down the street. The ski jump requires skill. She scalded her skin.
Remove the lookup window and suggestions plugin.
Skillfully down the street. The ski jump requires skill. She scalded her skin. The skeleton of the skunk was found. We rode in the sleek sleigh down the slope. The fish was slippery and slimy. We didn't sleep at the slumber party. The slow slug slid across the sidewalk. There was a slit in the sleeve. Did you slip in the slush? The colonel belongs to a fraternal order. Nocturnal sounds were recorded in the sound studio. We found a kernel of corn. Carnal sins are wrong. The movement of the earthquake caused the pavement to crack. His bereavement is apparent. Okay.
Apparent. I missed some sentences there.
My next drill focuses on the following theory briefs: March, April, doctor, effect, immediate, individual. Here we go. Here are your sentences. You should see your doctor immediately. Immediate, individual. Here we go. Here are your sentences. You should see your doctor immediately. It is a matter of individual choice. The effect is immediate. Doctors must consider the individual. What will the effect be? We are having April showers. March has 31 days. The remedy was effective. Class starts in April. Dr. Jones saw him in March. I have seen 3 doctors, but nothing seems to be effective. I am going to see Dr. Haswell in April. Report to the office immediately. Taxes are due April 15. Have you seen a doctor about your foot? That ACE bandage will not be effective. The program is individualized. You should be home by March 10. The effective date will be April 26. What effect will a March 12 date have on the individual files? The doctors don't always agree. The immediate problem is the filing date of April 15. He is an individualist. Answer his letter of March 18 immediately.
Okay, ace bandage.
Okay, moving into some legal briefs.
Legal briefs.
Okay, we've got evidence, EFD.
Evidence.
Evident, EFT. And grand jury, initial G, final J. Okay, we're going to start off with evidence, EFD. You must have evidence to convict. Her counsel presented his evidence carefully. There was evidence of tampering. There was evidence of stress. The witness evidences preparation. That book evidenced thorough research. He evidenced a lot of stamina. She is evidencing signs of fatigue. Okay, next brief is evident, EFT. The truth of the statement was evident. It was evident the lock had been broken. His anxiety was evident in his body language. The facts were evidently distorted. Okay, and the last one, grand jury, initial G, final J. Ready? The grand
jury didn't do that. Okay, it's GRRJ. Okay.
G, final J. Ready? The grand jury meets 4 days a week. The grand jury is sometimes called the county watchdog. Grand juries are sometimes replaced by preliminary hearings. I was called to serve on the grand jury. All right.
The grand jury
time for one more
meals
drill.
4 days a week.
This will be a number drill, and this is going to focus on dates.
Dates.
Ready? January 12, 2008. February 14, 1990. March 12, 2005. April 22nd, 1982. May 17, 1892. June 11, 1981. July 19, 2014. August 27, 1995. September 15, 2016. October 28, 2009. November 30, 1987. And the last one is December 31st, 2011. And that concludes our drill portion of the 100 class.
Okay, that's it for the drill. Go on to the jury charge and literary portion. My back hurts a little.
Hello everyone, welcome to the literary and jury charge portion of the 100 class. We're going to start off with some Latin and French words. I will give you the words
Latin
and then I will read the paragraph.
and French words.
Okay, we have actio in rem.
Actio in rem. Actio. Actio in rem. There, in rem.
Si pray.
I don't know what that is. Let me Google it on my phone. Said what?
Of actio in rem. Si pray.
You pray? Legal terminology, maybe help. See pray. Trying to find it. But it keeps trying to correct it to see pry. I'm not finding it. Maybe it's a C at the beginning instead of an S? No, it corrected to praecipe. Okay, I'm not gonna find it right now.
Latches and pro forma.
Latches? Latches without a T. Okay, that's probably in my dictionary. Latches.
Here's your paragraph. Actio in rem is an action brought against a thing. Actio in rem is usually an action against property. Si près is a French term meaning as near as or as close as possible.
As near as French? As near as possible. probably not pronouncing it correctly if I'm not able to find it. Cypree. Is it Cypree maybe? No. That's a tree. No, evergreen conifer. Definitely not that. I don't know. I don't know what this word is. I'm trying to find it, but I'm not coming up with anything. I don't know. I don't know.
Against property. Cypree is a French term meaning as near as or as close as possible.
Hello.
The court, using the Cypree doctrine, tries to carry out the express wishes of the deceased. Laches is a French term meaning a failure to do the proper thing at the proper time, when there is an undue delay in the plaintiff asserting a claim. The term laches is applicable. The Cypree doctrine generally deals.
Cypree doctrine. Oh, I think I found it. CY space PRES. I finally found it. Cypree. Okay, I see it. I see it now.
The Cypree doctrine generally deals with trust. Laches may place an undue or unreasonable disadvantage on one party. Pro forma means to do things in a certain way. Pro forma means for the sake of or as a matter of form.
Okay, I'm gonna redo that.
Applicable. To do as is an action. Laches and pro forma.
Pro forma.
Okay, here's your paragraph. Actio in rem is an action brought against a thing. Actio in rem is usually an action against property. Cypree is a French term meaning as near as or as close as possible. The court, using the Cypree doctrine, tries to carry out the express wishes of the deceased. Laches is a French term meaning a failure to do the proper thing at the proper time, when there is an undue delay in the plaintiff asserting a claim. The term laches is applicable. The Cypree doctrine generally deals with trust. Laches may place an undue or unreasonable disadvantage on one party. Pro forma means to do things in a certain way. Pro forma means for the sake of or as a matter of form.
I had trouble keeping up the second time too. Whoops.
Okay.
That was hard.
Oh, I've got a fun little article here. This is on Public Lives, Whatever Happened to. Here we go. Ready? Whatever happened to Tanya Harding is one of the most famous figure skaters ever. Less for her skating than for her role in a conspiracy to injure her rival, Nancy Kerrigan, just before the 1994 Winter Olympics. Nevertheless, Kerrigan won the silver medal and Harding finished 8th. Harding...
I didn't write Olympics. Hold up. Olympic. Then I just had the S at the end. Olympic. Okay.
Before Winter Olympics. Nevertheless, Kerrigan won the silver medal and Harding finished 8th. Harding became a tabloid fixture, mired in domestic disputes, leaked sex tapes, and a televised boxing match with fellow tabloid fixture Paula Jones. In 1996, she starred in her only film role, a direct-to-video crime drama called Breakaway, about a drug mule who wants to retire after one last job. Harding plays Gina, one of the mule's accomplices. And a mule is just a person who transports drugs, like concealing them in some body cavity. That is what a mule is. Interesting.
Interesting
All right,
indeed.
going on to some medical. We're going to do a continuation of this Harvard Heart letter.
Medical.
Okay. And we are on who feels what and why.
Feels what and why.
Here we go. Are patients with ischemic heart disease who do not experience chest discomfort or an angina equivalent simply less sensitive to pain than most people, although in some studies a higher pain threshold has been
Equivalent. Let me look that up. It's EU, not E.
sensitive to pain than most people, although in some studies a higher pain threshold has been associated with advanced age or diabetes. The data are not. Other research has suggested that only prolonged
Diabetes. That has
age or diabetes.
That has a brief.
The data are not. Other research has suggested that only prolonged or severe episodes of ischemia cause angina, and that milder spells are too brief to cause symptoms. When patients undergo balloon angioplasty to open narrowed coronary arteries, these vessels are completely occluded for a brief period. During these physician-induced episodes of ischemia, cardiologists have found that chest discomfort develops only after the lack of oxygen has caused several other changes. As soon as part of the heart becomes ischemic, its muscle cells lose some of their strength, and contractions are less forceful. In addition, the ischemic region becomes stiff, so the heart does not fill as well with blood during its relaxation phase. The result of these changes is that with each contraction, the amount of blood pumped by the heart decreases. Fluid may then accumulate in the lungs, causing congestion and shortness of breath. If the ischemia persists for 10 to 20 seconds, part of the ECG called the ST segment may fall below the usual flat baseline. Angina usually occurs only after several additional seconds of ischemia. If an episode of ischemia abates before angina develops, the patient may never experience this symptom. The duration of an ischemic episode before the onset of chest discomfort varies from person to person. Exercise tests, the key means of detecting silent ischemia, have shown that people whose angina developed more than 1 minute after the onset of ECG changes tended to have a higher proportion of asymptomatic versus symptomatic episodes of silent ischemia. Valuable warning signs. Since asymptomatic episodes tend to be more short-lived and less severe than angina-producing ischemia, are they important? Available data indicates that the answer is yes. According to several reports, patients who have evidence of ischemia during ambulatory ECG monitoring or exercise testing, but have no symptoms, are at higher risk for heart problems, such as a future heart attack, than are those who have no ischemia. For example, one study found that asymptomatic middle-aged men with 2 or more risk factors for coronary disease were more than 3 times as likely to have heart complications if ischemia was detected during exercise testing. Other investigations have shown that the prognosis is worse in heart attack survivors and patients who undergo peripheral vascular surgery, operations on the leg arteries, if the patient has silent ischemia. No one should be too surprised that ischemia, whether silent or symptomatic, increases a person's risk for a heart attack. However, angina should not be viewed as a curse that some fortunate people escape because they have higher thresholds for pain. In fact, most cardiologists feel that this warning sign is useful in that it prevents patients from exerting themselves beyond the point at which ischemia ensues. Without the symptom, people might continue to walk up a hill or engage in strenuous exercise despite the stress imposed on the heart, whereas individuals who experience angina could stop, rest, and take a nitroglycerin tablet for relief. Should silent ischemia be treated? Medications prescribed to treat angina are also effective in preventing silent ischemia and include beta blockers such as propanol, metoprolol, calcium channel blockers, and nitrates. If medical therapy is not successful, bypass graft surgery or balloon angioplasty can be used to treat asymptomatic coronary disease. The burning issue, however, is whether silent ischemia should be treated, since there are no symptoms to be relieved. Treatment cannot make someone feel better. In fact, anti-anginal medications may make patients feel worse by causing severe side effects or constantly reminding them of their condition. So far, no one knows whether the use of drugs to eradicate asymptomatic ischemia actually improves survival. When the presence of angina is used to guide conventional treatment of coronary disease, annual survival is about 97%. Even for patients who have had a heart attack, whether more medications can improve upon this excellent rate is far from certain. The National Institutes of Health is sponsoring the first phase of a major investigation, the asymptomatic cardiac ischemia pilot study, to assess whether treatment of silent ischemia is beneficial and can prevent heart attacks and deaths from coronary disease. Most experts argue against routine ambulatory monitoring to screen healthy people for silent ischemia, since the condition might be falsely diagnosed in many people without coronary disease. The patients would be needlessly alarmed and possibly subjected to the risks and inconvenience of further testing and treatment. For similar reasons, ambulatory ischemia monitors should not be used initially when the physician is trying to confirm a diagnosis of angina. The exercise test is more effective. More controversial is the issue of whether patients with known coronary disease should be evaluated for the presence of silent ischemia. Patients who have had a heart attack have an increased risk of further complications. However, in a study of patients with stable angina directed by Dr. Peter Stone of Brigham and Women's Hospital and Harvard Medical School, treatment of ischemia detected by ambulatory ECG monitors did not decrease symptoms or improve exercise capacity, since at this time there is no evidence that symptoms or survival can be improved by treatment. Arguments in support of increasing medication doses to eliminate ECG changes are not compelling. In summary, silent ischemia should be considered a warning sign in special situations, such as after a heart attack or before surgical procedures. But the value of screening in most patients with known or suspected coronary artery disease is not clear. Ongoing research may reveal when this problem is important and when it is not. In the meantime, the diagnosis and treatment of ischemic heart disease should be based predominantly upon the frequency and severity of angina. Right.
Okay, how long was that?
I know that was a little long, but it's great for your endurance.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Adel. Sorry, I had one of my plugins.
And some of these words
over on top of
well,
the Twitch chat
several times.
Thank you for sticking around for so long. 7 stream streak is awesome.
Let's see. Some of these other, I know I've covered a couple of these. Propanolol.
Propanolol. How do you spell it? Let me look it up. Propranolol. Propranolol. That is not in the dictionary. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I'm really struggling right now. These exercises have been really tough. She started with Latin and French words, and then she moved on to something about heart attacks and ischemia, which I keep forgetting how to write. I don't have it written correctly in the transcript at all. And propranolol. Ischemia. Let me look that up again. Maybe we can help with French words if you want. Oh, it's just it was what was it again? The Cypre doctrine. Their legal terminology. So I don't think you would be able to help. Since it's just me learning how to write it. Ischemia is not in my dictionary. Maybe I'm not spelling it correctly. I'm definitely spelling it correctly. It's just not in my dictionary. Okay, there. Legal terminology isn't our forte? I would guess so.
Propanolol. That was another one. Propranolol. Propanolol. Let's see. I think we heard metoprolol. That was another one. Metoprolol. 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 Metoprolol.
Metoprolol.
I think that's it. Asymptomatic. So again, add those to your dictionary after class. So it's a good time to do that. All right. So I'm going to read some jury charge. This is general jury charge.
General jury charge. This should be a lot easier.
Here we go. Discrepancies in a witness's testimony or between his testimony and that
okay,
of
look, I
other.
need to restart this. Discrepancies. Discrepancy. Okay. Well, discrepancy. I'm not spelling it correctly. Discrep? Maybe I do that? No? Okay, well, I'll just add it to my dictionary since I don't know how to write it. STK. Discrepancy. Okay, I got it now.
If there was any discrepancies in a witness's testimony or between his testimony and that of others, if there was any, do not necessarily mean that the witness should be discredited. Failure of recollection is a common experience, and innocent misrecollection is not uncommon. Also, it is a fact that two persons witnessing an incident or a transaction often will see or hear it differently, whether a discrepancy pertains to a fact of importance or only to a trivial detail, should be considered in weighing its significance. You are not bound to decide in conformity with the testimony of a number of witnesses that does not produce conviction in your mind as against the testimony of a lesser number or other evidence that appeals to your mind with more convincing force. This does not mean that you are at liberty to disregard the testimony of the greater number of witnesses merely from caprice or prejudice, or from a desire to favor one side as against another. It does mean that you are not to decide an issue by the simple process of counting the number of witnesses who have testified on the opposing sides. It means that the final test is not in the relative number of witnesses, but in the relative convincing force of the evidence. Remember that you are not bound to decide any question of fact according to the testimony of a large number of witnesses as against a lesser number of witnesses when such evidence does not produce conviction in your mind. The test to be given to testimony is not merely the number of witnesses, but rather the weight to which the testimony of such witness or witnesses is entitled.
Okay.
Now, in that particular segment of the jury charge, I said that you are. That came up twice. That you are. You can phrase that whole thing. THAUR. And then back to the medical.
Medical.
I know that was more challenging. I read the jury charge at 100, but the medical I read at 80, and I know that is a lot.
It was just
it's a
at
lot
80?
more difficult to write. The material's more dense, but if you come across a word, you hear a word you're not sure of, you don't know what it is, just write it out phonetically. And if that were a test, you would go back and you would look it up and change it. So that's why, it's so important that you don't get frazzled when you hear maybe a medical word or a legal word.
I just get slowed down. I just
write it out
slow
phonetically.
down.
So that's all.
Or I
we
just
can
stop.
do. And then you go back and look it up in the dictionary. Okay, so that concludes.
Okay, that's it for the jury charge and literary. Let's do the Q&A, which is gonna be, it could be fun. It depends on the subject matter.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 100 Q&A practice. We're going to start off with the court. Ready?
Court.
Nicole, have you ever testified in court before? No, I haven't. Okay, don't be nervous. Go ahead, counsel. How old are you at the present time? I am 22 years old. On September 28, 2008, the date of the accident, how old were you at that time? Almost 21 years old. My birthday is September 30. Please tell us what high school you attended. Eugene Central High School. Did you graduate? Yes, I did, with honors. What was your major in high school? Oh, I guess general education. I took a little bit of everything. After your graduation from high school, did you go on to college? Yes, I did. I moved to Salem, Oregon, and attended the community college there. Was this against the wishes of your parents? No, not really. They were very worried about me because I was moving so far away from them. What classes did you take at Salem Community? I enrolled in their business program. How were your grades? Oh, probably a B+ average. How long did you attend Salem Community College? About a year and a half. I really wanted to finish all my general ed so I could get a job. I see. Now, after attending college, did you relocate back in Eugene? Yes, I did. Were you able to find a job right away? Yes. I went to work for Pendleton, Maxwell, and Conrad, attorneys at law. Nicole, how soon after you returned to Eugene did you purchase your car, the 2008 Toyota? I was only home about 3 weeks when I landed a job. My dad offered to help me buy the car. He co-signed for
Hello,
me.
Eugene.
Were you living at home at the time? No, I was living in an apartment with Cindy Gates by that time. Where did you meet Cindy? She worked at the law firm where I worked. She was 1 year behind me in high school, so I had known who she was for quite some time. Did Cindy have an automobile? No, she liked to walk to work or ride her bike. We lived real close to the office. It was less than 1/2 mile. Did you and Cindy become close friends? Somewhat. She was a very hard person to relate to. She liked to read and study a lot. She didn't care for sports and really wasn't into dating at that time, although that changed when she met Ian. Was Cindy a student at that time? Yes, she was attending night school to become a lawyer. I kept telling her it would take her forever, but she was dead set on pursuing her career. How did you and Cindy meet Ian Harris? We met Ian one night when we were out dancing. He was really interested in Cindy. We finally agreed to go have coffee with him that same night. Did Cindy begin to date Ian after that first meeting? Yes, she did. 3 and 4 times a week. Between studying and him, we never saw each other. When was the first time that Ian asked to borrow your car? I think it was on the 4th of July weekend. He said his car was in the shop being repaired. Did he continue to borrow your car after that? Yes, I guess he hated his car because it was always breaking down. So he borrowed mine almost every time they went out. Did he give you any money for gas and mileage? He would fill my tank up whenever it was empty. I hardly ever had to buy gas. On the date of the accident, had Ian asked your permission to use your car? Yes, he had. Okay, so I'm going to switch.
We're switching transcripts, which is great because the ad break is about to start. My head is starting to hurt a little bit. I don't know why. Borrow. I spelled that one wrong. Borrow. It's borrow. I don't like that it's borrow. It should be borrow. Ad break ends in 3 minutes. On Twitch. On YouTube, I don't get ads yet because I am not a YouTube partner. Oh, we're at 524 subscribers. Always amazed that I get any new subscribers during these steno streams because they're so niche. Let me fix the follower goal then. I mean the subscriber goal. Okay, there. I fixed it. Now it says 524 instead of 523. Whoa!
Adel Dreamleaf just redeemed Autism Creature.
Thank you for redeeming Autism Creature. How fun. I honestly should have taken a gabapentin before I started streaming because now my back hurts. I feel like it feels like I never take a break even though I always do. Like, what do you call sleeping and laying in bed? Resting, right? And yet, it feels like I never do it. That's why I'm so tired and my back hurts. Oh, okay, we're back. Time to get back into it.
Transcripts.
We switched transcripts.
This will also be plaintiff questioning. Okay.
Plaintiff questioning.
All right. There we go. Did you find anything in this front bedroom? Yes, sir. We recovered several more firearms and also a container full of various types of drugs. Okay, let's start with the drugs. What did you find in that regard? I found a tackle box, I guess you would call it, like for fishing. Yes, it had about 10 compartments on each side of the outside covers. You could then open it up to reveal more compartments on the inside. How many compartments were on the inside? I would say another 10 on each side. So it opened like a book? Yes. What was inside of this tackle box? There were assorted pills and other types of tablets, as well as organic materials. Did you recognize some of these pills or tablets? Yes, the ones that I recognized right away were some blotters of LSD, psilocybin capsules, ecstasy tablets, and mescaline. There was also peyote buttons, as well as amyl nitrite. What kinds of drugs are these? Hallucinogens. Was there anything else that you recognized? There was some hashish in there as well. There were a lot of other pills in there, but I couldn't tell you what they were. Did you find anything else concerning drugs? I found some loose marijuana on a chest of drawers. I also found some more paraphernalia. What kind of paraphernalia? Marijuana paraphernalia, pipes, rolling papers, etc. Is that it? Yes. How about weapons? I found several. On the dresser, there was a Taurus 357 Magnum revolver. Was it loaded? Yes. What else did you find? I located 2 rifles in the closet. One was a Remington 30-06 and the other was a 30 caliber Springfield bolt action rifle. Both weapons had scopes mounted on them. Would these be considered hunting rifles? Yes. And bolt action means what? Well, instead of the weapon automatically chambering the next round, you have to manually chamber the next round by using the bolt. Were the rifles loaded? No. Continue. Under the bed, I located 2 assault-style submachine guns. The first one was a Heckler & Koch MP5, and the other one was an Intertech 9mm, more commonly referred to as a Tech 9.
Was that it? Oh my god. That didn't feel like it was very long at all. Guess it was only 5 minutes, but still. Let's do the test now. I'm not going to do good on the test.
Hello everyone.
Whoa.
This is a 100 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Mazak. Mazack.
A little loud. 5.
Defense attorneys Mr. Lentil, Lentil. Again, plaintiff attorney Mr. Mazack, Mazack.
I'm struggling so hard today.
Defense is Mr. Lentil,
I can't seem to wrap my head around the
Lentil.
stenography.
Okay, and this is going to start with defense attorney.
Defense attorney.
Ready?
Whoopsies. Whoopsies.
At the scene of the accident.
Whoops.
Hello, everyone. Mazack.
I forgot to click into Notepad++, so a lot of things just happened.
Defense attorneys Mr. Lentil, Lentil.
It starts with defense.
Again, plaintiff attorney Mr. Mazack, Mazack. Defense is Mr. Lentil, Lentil. Okay, and this is going to start with defense attorney. Ready? And then when she came back after that, did the police finally come? No, they didn't. Did the police ever get there while you were there at the scene of the accident? No, not while I was there. Did you ever provide your information, contact information, to anyone there at the scene? I handed my phone number to one of the kids that was standing there. It was one of the motorcycle riders. Okay, and that would be like a, did you write it on a card or a piece of paper or something like that? I had a piece of paper. I didn't even have a card on me. Okay, and did you, in sum and substance, let them know, hey, if and when the police get here, you can let them know that I saw the accident? Yes, I said something like that. Okay. By that time, there were a lot of motorcycles that came back. I would say mostly all of them. They had come or had returned from, yes, they just kept coming back and coming back. All right, and how long after the lady was involved in the accident came back was it that you left the scene approximately? I don't know, maybe another 5 or 6 minutes approximately. Okay, and did you ever contact the police at all to let them know that you had witnessed this particular accident? No, I didn't. Okay, you understood that having given your name and your number to the people there at the scene, that it was kind of like you did what you needed to do. Is that accurate? Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence. Overruled. Go ahead and answer. Yes. Okay. You would have then been at the scene approximately, as you mentioned, 10 minutes or so, maybe a little more? Yes, something like that. Okay. During that entire time that you were at the scene, did you ever speak to any of the fellas that were on any of the motorcycles? Except for the one I handed the paper to, no. Okay, and when you handed the paper to one of the fellas that was there at the scene, You understood that he was one of the writers? I believe so, yes. Okay. And did you say, as I mentioned, in sum and substance, here, you can give this to the police, or if anybody needs this? Yes. I saw the accident? Yes. Okay. Did you speak to anyone at all at the scene of the accident during the time that you were at the accident, other than that one fella that you gave the information or the paper to? No, I didn't. I just talked to the one guy. You said that you saw several riders come back after the accident. Now, other than the riders that were there at the scene of the accident, and other than the lady who had returned, how many more riders came back? I would say approximately 10 more came back.
Okay. All this talk about accident low-key reminds me of yesterday's stream. Oh, I almost forgot what yesterday's stream was. It was Life is Strange. Yeah, the accident. Really ugly one that killed William, Chloe's father. I'm thinking that maybe she got into a car accident because when I was rewatching the VOD for clips, I only got one clip, by the way. Only one. But when I was rewatching the VOD for clips, at the very end, I noticed that the photographs that were coming on screen, half of them were of when William died, and half of them were when he didn't. And they were getting replaced by the ones of him not having died. So one of them was of Chloe getting the keys to a car. So I'm wondering if she just got into a car accident. And I'm worried that the game is gonna have this little moral dilemma where it's like, do you want to save Chloe or save Chloe's father? And it's like, she's still alive and he would have been dead. So I think being alive trumps being dead. I feel like it's gonna do that. And it's not a moral dilemma for me because I feel like if she knew that Max had went back in time to save her father and then killed him again, that would have been rough. She would never want to talk to Max ever again because Max would be dead to her. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Okay, let me move this to the 26th class. Okay, we're gonna do the 120 now, even though I'm messing up the 100 a lot. Okay, how loud is this?
Welcome to drill practice. Let's get started with some tangle tamers. And these are pairs of words just to get your fingers moving, get them warmed up. All right, here we go. Criminal character. Technically affected. Genuine signature.
Yeah, being disabled doesn't make one's life less worth living. Exactly. Technical. I always forget what technical is.
Character. Technically affected. Genuine signature. different conclusions. Interest owed. Objection overruled. In as much as. Coupled with. Valid separation. Purely mechanical. Complete performance. Wrongful conduct. Highway patrolman. Page 191, line 24. Prove provocation. Past consideration. Without consent. Grand juror. Legal battle. Latter event. Receive notice. Husband's credit. Former marriage. Married woman. Parked illegally.
Events. I always forget with the ones that start with E, how to write them. It's not very consistent.
All right, I hope your fingers are feeling warmed up. Let's try now some names and spellings.
Names and spellings. This is gonna go
Ready?
bad.
Maureen McHugh. MCHUGH. Jacqueline Capri Gonzalez. GONZALES. Linda K. Bragg. BRAGG. Chris G. Hutchings. HUTCHINGS. Ginger M. Jabs. JABS. Melissa Thompson. THOMPSON. Lori D. Stocco. STOCCO. Rosa Vanizzi. FANIZZI. Curtis Claycomb. CLAYCOMB. Julianne Nowak. NOWAK. Helene Blogumas, Blogumas.
Blogumas?
Christine Shea Reynolds, Reynolds. Ashley A. Meese, Meese.
I need to remove that from my diction. Do that. There, it's removed.
All right, now let's try some just cities and states.
Cities and
and
states.
states only. Okay, here we go. Huntington Beach, California. Redding, California. Orange, Connecticut. Oxford, Connecticut. Jacksonville, Florida. Riverview, Florida. Lamars, Iowa. Westminster, Maryland. Collingswood, New Jersey. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Napoleon, Ohio. Columbia, Pennsylvania. Kersey, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. St. Mary's, Pennsylvania. Austin, Texas. Tyler, Texas. Wichita Falls, Texas. Willis, Texas. Manassas, Virginia. New Glarus, Wisconsin. Springfield, Illinois. Easton, Maryland. Macomb, Michigan. Lee Summit, Missouri. Big Flats, New York. Huntington, New York. South Huntington, New York. Hanover, Pennsylvania. Frisco, Texas.
Frisco, Texas. I didn't get most of this right. Is
All right,
it
now
Mary,
let's just have a
Pennsylvania?
little practice with names and their credentials.
Names and
So
credentials.
CSR, RPR, CRR, whatever their title is. Ready? Here we go. Martin Booley, RPR. Latasha Bates, RPR. Brittany Blesner, RPR. Mark McClure, RPR, CRR. Ellen Cooper, RPR, CRR. Sherry Jones, RMR, CRR, CRC. Amy Bateman, RPR, CRR, CRC. April Dowell, RMR. All right,
that's it for that. Okay, let's move on to the jury charts and literary.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with some jury charge. And the subject of this jury charge is assault and battery.
Assault and battery.
Ready? Here we go. This right applies to any property lawfully in possession. However, anyone ejecting a trespasser will be guilty of assault if he uses more force than is necessary, as when he uses a dangerous or deadly weapon, unless the trespass is made with hostile intent and actual force. The general rule is that the owner may use only such force as is necessary to eject the trespasser. A man may not use a deadly weapon to resist a mere trespass, but he may resist the trespass with sufficient force. If, while so resisting, he has reasonable ground for believing that he himself is in personal danger, then he may use a weapon to defend himself and his property. It is clear that a man has no right to commit an assault with intent to do great bodily harm to another for a wrong that he does not have reasonable ground to believe to be dangerous to himself. If a person honestly believes or has reason to believe that he is in great peril, and that great bodily harm is about to be inflicted upon him, he has a right to act under such well-grounded apprehension and may use a weapon, even though the danger does not in fact exist. However, in the absence of a felonious invasion of one's property, that is, in the absence of an invasion with intent to commit the crime of felony thereon, one does not have the right to inflict serious bodily injury in the defense of property interests alone. The defendant in this case, after requesting the plaintiff to leave the premises, had the right to use reasonable force to eject him, but no more force than was reasonably necessary. If, in protecting his land from trespass only, he intentionally inflicted grievous bodily harm upon the plaintiff, and was not himself in reasonable fear or danger or bodily harm to himself, then he committed a wrongful assault upon the plaintiff.
I'm not sure how fast I went there, because I didn't have the words per minute meter in front of me. It was behind the chat window. I hope I was going fast. So it wasn't fast enough. I couldn't keep up.
Let's start this literary.
Literary.
And it is called Nurture Your Spirit.
Nurture Your Spirit. Sounds like a self-help book.
Ready?
At the end of convention season, we hopefully walk away rejuvenated, inspired, and motivated. Keeping that energy going can be a different story as the months go by and we deal with all aspects of our personal and professional lives. Maybe work is your current stress. Maybe it is the lack thereof. Or maybe your stress is whatever is going on at home. Regardless of whatever challenges you are currently facing, remember that nourishing your mind, body, soul, and spirit is just as important as finishing your latest expedited transcript. After all, we are people first, people who are reporters and captioners, not the other way around. Such proved to be true for me during my latest adventure when I traveled to Colorado. As an official reporter in Sarasota, Florida, this past summer proved to be particularly challenging as I tried to juggle both the NCRA and FCRA conventions. I also serve FCRA as Central Director. The Judicial Center in which I work was short-staffed, and the added court shifts caused my backlog to avalanche into a whopping 5,000 pages. I didn't let that stop me from my duties and responsibilities as a quality reporter and association member, nor was I going to let it hinder my fun. The fun and educational conventions helped me stay positive and focused, as did the teamwork of my fellow official reporters, who also helped with the 5,000 pages. Hot off the heels of the last convention, my friend and personal trainer, Damon Harper, aka Dr. Sporty, invited me on a trip to Colorado. At first I said no. Then something unimaginable happened as the Colorado trip approached. The vacant position filled, court schedules returned to normal, the pages were back to a manageable level, and most importantly, the deadlines were caught up. In addition to that, the building in which my twin brother, Michael, also an official reporter, and I live, is currently under a major renovation and now resembles something out of a blockbuster disaster movie. So it no longer took much nudging from Dr. Sporty, and I agreed to go along on the trip. Boot camp sessions in the mountains and all. So for a week and a half, I traded in my Kenneth Cole Oxfords for Dr. Martin boots.
I don't think I went very fast that time. I even had trouble with responsibility. Hobbled.
Right, we'll have to get back to the rest of that.
Stop hitting the
For
microphone.
now, let's try some more jury charge practice.
Very hard.
The subject of this next jury charge is murder.
Murder. Okay. A light subject.
Ready?
There is no duty upon the court to comment upon the evidence at all. All the court has to do is render a verdict of guilty or not guilty, where people waive a jury and submit the matter to the court. I usually give to counsel and those people interested in the case the court's reasoning, how the evidence appears to the court. As I say, I am not going to attempt to comment on all of the evidence. There is no duty on the court to comment on it at all. Suffice it to say that if this defendant's story is to be believed, he is not guilty of murder or even manslaughter. If his story is to be believed, he did not even cut the man. The man stabbed himself or got cut in the scuffle, if he is to be believed. I do not mind saying to you that it is hard to believe his story. His story is quite unbelievable. It does not ring true that this man can go into a bar 2 or 3 times and there be no objection by reason of his nationality. But on this particular occasion, the last time, the deceased comes up to him and calls him a vile name and starts to struggle with him with a knife. Now, counsel, things just do not happen that way. If that was all the evidence in the case, why, I would have to find the defendant not guilty, but I cannot believe his story. Now, on behalf of the state, one witness, the girl in the case, Rosemary, was not very helpful, but it does appear that this defendant lived with this girl for over a year, and that only a week or 2 previously she had left him. All right, so he contacts her there in this bar, according to her story, and according to her story, the defendant wanted to buy her a drink, and she refused. So indefinite though her testimony was, it does show that there was some friction between the defendant and this Rosemary. Now, on behalf of the other witness for the state, Mrs. Carter, she told a very clear and convincing story which jibes with all the facts in the case. She said that this defendant came there early in the afternoon and was quarreling and having trouble with Rosemary. The deceased tried to get him to stop and finally put him out of the place sometime during the afternoon. Later, the defendant came back after having the trouble in the afternoon and again had some contact with the girl Rosemary. When the deceased tried to get him to sit down at a table and behave himself or leave, he pulled out a knife. It appears very much to the court as if this defendant knew that he was going to have trouble there. He came back looking for trouble. In any event, if the fight started as he says it started, he certainly used more force than was necessary to defend himself. I will have to find this defendant guilty. I do not believe his story at all. I think the state has proved beyond all reasonable doubt that this defendant stabbed the deceased and brought about his death. The defendant says he did not mean to kill him. He did not mean to kill him, but he did mean to do him severe bodily harm, and death resulted from the injuries received by the deceased from this defendant. I will find the defendant guilty of manslaughter and sentence him to 10 years in the penitentiary. Reverend, I wish you would go out with him and explain to him. Just go out with him and explain to him what I said. I want him to understand.
I did pretty good on that one for the most part. I did drop a lot of words, but I cut down on going back and fixing my mistakes. That's the important part.
Excuse me. All right, so let's get back to our literary material called Nurture Your Spirit. Ready? My trip began with a Bloody Mary toast with Dr. Sporty. He was my friend first, so cocktails in flight were a must, and the fun people who sat next to and around us. It wasn't until the last third of the flight that I learned one couple was, in fact, a court reporter and a judge. In hindsight, I'm grateful I didn't learn that early on, or Dr. Sporty would have been bored to tears by the shop talk and likely would have taken his aggression out on me during the first mountain boot camp session. This undertaking certainly pushed my limits. While we mostly stayed on the hiking trails, we took some rebellious detours and hiked far off the required beaten paths. At the time of one of the rocks in Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, I realized the lessons I was learning along the trail were synonymous with our professional ones. Climbing the mountainsides of Red Rock was a challenge for me with my balance issues, including my occasional bouts with vertigo, but the hike reminded me of the career challenges we face and how we thrive by the achievement of getting through them. It's not about how you get to the destination, but how well worth the journey is. I never would have enjoyed the view from the top any other way.
We're almost done. There's 3 minutes left. And then we do the Q&A and test, and then the stream's over. I need to take a gabapentin real bad.
Okay, all right, back to some
Whoops.
jury charge practice.
Jury charge practice.
The subject of this jury charge is duress.
Duress. Nice.
Ready?
Right, duress.
Plaintiff brings this action seeking to recover the sum of $5,000 and interest upon a written instrument or promise to pay this sum to plaintiff. This instrument is in evidence. Defendant admits that he made and signed this instrument, and as defense thereto alleges, first, that there was no consideration for the execution of the instrument in question. Second, defendant alleges that the instrument in question was obtained from the defendant by duress, that plaintiff, being armed with a revolver, threatened to shoot and kill defendant if he did not sign the instrument. Because of such threats, and in fear that plaintiff would carry out his threats, defendant was compelled to sign said instrument. The instrument sued upon in this action is a written promise to pay money. It is not a negotiable promissory note and does not carry with it the same presumptions as a negotiable instrument. Such a written promise to pay, if it is found to have been given for a valuable consideration, is valid and enforceable in law, unless some valid defense thereto is shown. The first defense set out by the defendant is that there was no consideration for this note or instrument. A valuable consideration may be any advantage or benefit to the person making the promise, or any detriment or injury to the other party. A promise by one person to pay money to another cannot be enforced unless such promise is given for some valuable consideration.
Yeah, I didn't do well on that one. I kept stopping. Didn't mean to. My brain just stops sometimes when I'm doing steno. It just ceases to move. I mean, it just stops working. Ceases to work. Having a hard time explaining myself. Okay, let's move on to the Q&A.
Welcome to Q&A practice. We'll get started with the plaintiff.
Thank you for patting my head.
Idle Dreamleaf just redeemed Pat My Head.
Are you related in any way?
I wasn't ready.
Are you related in any way to Mary Ann Burns? At what time? What is your relationship now? We got married. What was the relationship at the time the loan was made? At the time, it was basically business, to be honest with you. Who did she work for at the time? She was helping me out at the pharmacy. You employed her? Let's say she was a trainee. Was she paid? I don't know at the beginning, but it was expenses, I believe. So you don't have any salary records or payroll records for her at that time? She is a salaried employee now at Beauty World. When did that commence? That is what I was trying to think of. I think it was April of 2009. That was after the loans were made. After some of the loans were made. Can I assume she didn't take any security interest in any of your assets as part of giving this loan? Well, are you asking in his mind or her mind? In both of our minds. She was buying the inventory. She was buying it for the corporation? Yes, but there was no UCC filed, no formally secured interest taken. No, I didn't do any. You are not aware of any? No, I am not. Shortly after the corporations were formed, did you convey the corporate stock to a trust? I don't know what you mean by convey. I always intended the stock to be in trust for the kids. In other words, I might have said it for a minute, but my intentions were for the children to have the stock. It wasn't worth anything at the time. I just felt, if it were, I wanted it to be theirs. So it was your intention to set up the corporation and transfer them to the trust once they were established? Right. Is this a copy of the trust that the stock was transferred to? See if your signature is on the last page. Yes. This 4-page agreement entitled Declaration of Trust will be marked as Plaintiff's 3. It appears to be executed by you as trustor and trustee on October 19th, 2009. Would that be approximately the time that you transferred the stock? What do you mean by transfer? Are you talking about the physical transfer or what? Well, let's say on the stock records, the corporate stock ledger, when was the transfer made? Would it have been around that time? Frankly, I was the one that Elliot really doesn't know when these things happened. It was my belief and my remembrance that it was in Elliot's name first, and the trust. It really happened all simultaneously. I don't recall what date and what happened. He didn't get in to sign it. I don't know how long it was sitting there before he came in and signed it, or what have you. It was a period of about 30 days that the paperwork was prepared in the normal course of my office and so forth. What actually transacted on a given day, I don't recall. Did the stock ledger reflect the trust as the owner or Elliot James presently? I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't look. I take it, Elliot, you don't know? No, I can tell you my intention. You wanted all the stock. We formed the corporation and we discussed it. The stock was supposed to be issued when the corporation was set up.
That was tough. I don't know why, but it was tough. I had a hard time with that one. Jeez. Okay, are we switching transcripts?
Let's practice from our other transcript. And we will start with the defense attorney.
Defense attorney, okay.
Ready? Did you ever have occasion to be in this, to drive through this area prior to the time of this call on the evening of February 18th, 2005? I'm not sure what you're asking. Have I driven by this same intersection? Is that what you're asking? I'll strike it. On the evening when you got this call, were dispatched out to this area. Was it an area you were somewhat familiar with where you said, "Oh, I've been through that area before"? Yes. And based on those previous experiences going through that area, did you recall being there, being a bus stop in that area, or it being at or near an intersection there at the location where it occurred? I don't recall that, no. And it states on here that the patient was found laying face down in the middle of the street. Do you recall if that was the information you provided to the author of this report, or it was observed by him? Do you recall observing that upon arrival at the scene? I do remember her lying in the street. I can't recall if she was face down specifically. Do you recall where at in the street you first observed Ms. Waters laying?
Okay, be right back. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back.
Face down specifically. Do you recall where at in the street you first observed Ms. Waters laying? Was it over near the far right curb, the far left curb? What would be your best recollection as to what you observed when you first arrived at that scene? I don't know. It was too long ago. Was it dark out at the time? I believe it was getting dark, if it wasn't dark. Okay. Do you recall what Miss Waters was wearing on the evening that you rendered this care to her? No. Do you recall at any time in that about 8-minute interval you were at the scene rendering care, observing the vehicle that struck Ms. Waters or the driver of that vehicle? I wouldn't have, no. Do you know who the first individual in your unit was to respond to Ms. Waters and to observe her condition? Was it yourself? Probably. And is your recollection refreshed by this particular report, which we're identifying as Defendant's Exhibit 3, that she was actually found face down in the middle of the street at the intersection of West Valley and South 9th? Well, that misstates his testimony. Do you understand the question, Mr. Graff? I do, and she was found face down in the middle of the street, somewhere by West Valley, South 9th, not necessarily the intersection. And what was the first thing that you did upon arrival? Did you try to turn her over, or what did you recall? I would have assessed her level of consciousness. And how would you go about doing that, or how did you go about doing that in this particular case? Just speaking to her, and she was conscious when you attempted to speak to her? She was. Did she appear disoriented? She appeared confused to me.
I didn't do good on this. Is that it? Yeah, that's it for this. Moving on to the test, which I'm gonna fail. I know I'm gonna fail.
This is a 120 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Rogers, capital R-O-G-E-R-S. Defense attorney, Ms. MS period Scott, capital S-C-O-T-T. And we'll start with the defense.
Okay, defense.
Ready? And do you remember where you worked prior to that? I believe I worked for temp agencies before then, doing secretarial type work. Yes, like Remedy temps, things like that. Apple One. Yes. And how long did you work at the different temp agencies? It was off and on, maybe 2 years. Do you remember where you worked and what type of work you were doing prior to that? All the jobs that they placed me in were clerical in nature. All right. So was that the kind of work you started doing out of high school? Was temp working at temp agencies, or no? So what did you do prior to the temp agencies? After high school? She's a college graduate, right? So trying to go back to when she began her work career. You don't have to tell me every single job. I'm just trying to get what types of work were you doing? Were you a court reporter? Were you an executive secretary all the time? Did you do other types of work? It was. Most of the work I've done has been administrative, clerical type. I see. Okay. Did you work at any job for any substantial amount of time, or was it lots of different little jobs? I worked for the Department of Rehabilitation. Oh, you did? Okay, that's right. I think I saw you have one claim there, I think. Yes. Okay, right? Yes. Okay. Do you remember how long you worked there? Approximately 5 years. Okay. And what did you do there? Office assistant, too. All right. Any other types of long-term jobs or... I worked for the California Youth Authority. How long did you work there? About a year. Oh no, I'd say a year to 6 months. So did you go right from... Oh, okay. So you had a break in your time working for the different government agencies, basically? Yes, there was some breaks. Okay. And any other work for the state or the government? No. And then just generally tell me what other types of jobs you did besides working for the state or working for the temp agencies. Superior Court. And the Superior Court. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I know you had the one injury at the Department of Rehabilitation. I don't know too much about it. Let's see, I have a date of injury as June 14th, 1981. Can you tell me what happened in that injury? I lifted a typewriter and sprained my back. The low back, upper back. And where did you treat for that? A very long time ago. I don't remember. You don't remember? Did you get any type of award for that? I did. Do you remember how much? I think it was 4,000 or 5,000. And did you recover from that, or did you have lingering problems? No, I recovered from that. Okay, and do you remember how long you treated in the beginning? Approximately 4 months. You don't remember any of the doctors that you went to? No, I'm sorry, I don't. All right. Did you ever have a workers' compensation injury while you worked at the Youth Authority? No. What about for the temp agency? No. And any while at the Superior Court of Los Angeles County? No. Any other besides the ones we talked about? Any other work comp injuries? No. Okay, have you ever applied for a disability such as EDD or anything like that at any time or recent in the last 10 years? Just recently with the for this injury, yes. Okay, but nothing else?
Oh my god, that was really tough. What the hell? Why was it so difficult? I'm just not having a good steno day, I don't think. Okay, let me close everything. Now, what do I do next? I look to see if I can rate anyone. Okay, we're going to raid Marble. Marble uses its pronouns. It is currently having a Marblethon. I'll see you tomorrow for the 100 line. Hopefully, I'll have a better time doing steno tomorrow. Congrats for today's stream. Rest well. Thank you. Thank you for coming by. Oh, it's pronouns like me. Woo! That's great. Okay, so see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye.